So why don't we just launch right in? You guys want to introduce yourself, or you know these folks already. Okay, introduce yourself to us, and then tell us what you're going to play, and how you're going to play it, and why you're playing it, and then play.
Okay, so we are the Oklahoma State Graduate Brass Quintet. All of us are either TAs for our studio or just for different parts. My name is Blake Lyle. I am a first-year master's student in the tuba TA. And anyone else?
I'm Michael Morsi. I'm a second-year master's student doing a trumpet performance degree, and I'm the music theory TA.
So you're graduating this spring?
Yeah.
I'm Jason Villarreal. I'm a first-year master's student on the trumpet TA.
My name is Corey Burton. I'm the trombone TA first year grad student.
My name is Hunter Poe. I'm the second year TA for the horn studio.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're all graduating students then?
Yes.
Yeah.
TA, you're also a student.
Yes.
So you go off to work.
Yes.
But the other guys don't have to work.
If our eyes closed, we're smiling.
So I took out my mask because I got my vaccination. I have proof. Okay, now tell us about the music.
Today we'll be performing the fourth movement of the Colchester Fantasy by Erica Wazen, named The Red Lion.
Can you hear him back there? Yeah. You're good? Everybody's good? Okay. How about up there?
Do I need to come louder?
Good, okay. All right. Colchester by Wazen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you in advance, two of these guys are experts on the music of Wazen. Both Brandon and Caleb studied with Wazen. So, you know every note. Okay, well, most of them, some of them, right? They're acquainted with the music. Okay.
Feels got a new phone.
No pressure.
Beautiful job. Really great. Oh, yeah, thank you. Really gorgeous playing. Beautiful sounds. So, do you guys usually perform in a small room or a large space like this?
Smaller room.
Smaller room. And how does a space like this change your playing as a group and individually? Do you feel like you're playing the same?
Playing the same, but hearing it back differently, yeah.
Hearing it back differently?
Yeah.
Okay. But you feel like you're playing with the same energy and the same volume and articulation and everything? Okay. Got it. Yeah, because sometimes in a big space like this, you guys are so lucky. It's amazing. It kind of, it's like this, it encourages you to play out more, maybe to the point where it's kind of, I don't know, you lose a little bit of control and finesse. What I sensed was you guys were playing so big most of the time that it kind of diluted the sense of time and dance, because this is a dance, right? What's the name of this title, this movement? The Red Lion, which is what is the Red Lion?
It's a bar.
It's a bar in somewhere in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, you hear this kind of Renaissance dance. It's very kind of neo-Renaissance, I think. And I think you got to bring that out. Can we go, one thing that we can do to really cultivate this sense of dance is play everything super soft. Because when you play loud, you like pass a threshold where your articulation just isn't under control, right? You feel it, right? It starts to spread a little bit, maybe the clarity gets lost a little bit. And if we play soft, then that's the best way to cultivate that. Without losing the energy, though, that's the trick. So where does the tuba come in first? So the beginning's like a fugal entrance, right?
Coming at 23.
23. Yeah, let's start right there. 23, and everything's going to be mezzo piano and below. So don't let the sound get spread at all. And I want you to focus on intense energy to the articulation and to the dance. Life to the shape of the note, so that it's not just like ba, ba, beep, beep, right? As if every note is kind of like a tambourine or something like that. Okay, let's give that a shot. If you heard a difference. Okay, so, okay, most. And raise, yeah, so, and I also heard the balance a little better. So the trick is, how do we maintain that and increase the volume, increase the amplitude, right? And we can talk about like the conceptual, parts of that and the physical parts of that. But let's try it again, but I want you to play as written now. But don't let it get to the point where it becomes spread. That doesn't mean like reduce your peaks of the excitement. Actually, to the contrary, like try to maintain that focus as you get louder. Okay? And I'm talking about feeling, also the way it sounds. And yeah, don't let it become spread. Keep that clarity to the articulations. One more time, and then I'm going to hand it off. to hear some observations from you guys. How that was different.
Horns louder when you're over here.
For me, the difference was it didn't, like we were in our lines, but we never we were too scared to actually push it to an arrival spot at times. And it didn't sound bad, it just never got there.
Just now.
Just now.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a miscommunication. But yeah, I would say like try to maintain that clarity as you get louder. Yeah, because I don't know what's the loudest dynamic in this section you just played. The loudest written dynamic. Okay, cool. So you can like feel free to let it kind of blossom, but don't let the energy and the dance be compromised. That's all. You know what I mean? Okay, nice. Who wants to talk next?
And one thing too, maybe someone else, the other expert can talk, but one thing we watch too is to never have the color change too suddenly. Like that, if you prepare us and build to your climaxes in the same color or gradually change the color, it's better than, and then I think the mistake is playing by feel, where it feels good to symphonic, out of our way. You know, there's no one in our way here.
It sounds really great. I mean, you all sound great, beautiful sounds. Yeah, what Caleb talked about, I think rhythmic integrity.
A little closer to your mouth.
Hello? What? Hello. Yeah, I think that, I don't know if that's the right word, but like rhythmic integrity, like I feel, like the third time you played, I thought it was more like a dance, but it tends to sound a little bit, I mean, I'm exaggerating. So I would suggest, should I repeat all that? Sorry. I would suggest when you practice that next time to practice it with a metronome, much slower, maybe 20 clicks lower, but have that dance feel, you know? I love the dynamics that you do, but they have to be like, and not kind of rushing sometimes. The other thing I will suggest, the loud stuff are great. I mean, it sounds big. You don't need to play much louder. But I want you to play a little bit more with the sound colors. Don't think necessarily soft and loud, but different sound colors. I don't know. I like to think colors. I like to think scenes, movies. I don't know when I want to create a color. Is there a place that you have like a lot of these dynamics? I just want to hear the softs a little bit more. Is there a good spot for this?
129 or later? 129? Okay.
Musical with really good time. Very steady. Nice. Sounds good. Do you mind singing it? I mean, you don't have to sing the note, just at least the rhythm. Yeah, whenever you want, just the rhythm.
Can you do the same thing and conduct? Each of them, one hand, just conduct as you're going. Ready? 1, 2, ready?
Da
Wow. This sounds beautiful. I like it. Wow. Maybe I like it even better. It's just amazing. Do you mind singing just again, but do the dynamics like to the extreme? The soft, like I want to hear it like that, especially the softs.
1, 2, 3.
The horn's a little late. Why is that? Sound? Because it
The sound off the wall. It's a reflective instrument.
got it.
And we should be early, if anything, because we're used to playing a little bit. Actually, yeah, it is.
That was beautiful. You want to try it? Playing it like this? Beautiful.
1, 2, 3.
Great. Great. Wow, it sounds great. So that would be my tip. You know, I think the quickest way to improve something is to practice slowly. And what was the other thing? I forgot. Slowly and sing it. And sing it. That's something we do in the group a lot. And it helps so much. I mean, immediately I felt it was more fun, more secure, more. That's what I think. What do you think?
Well, I think you're thinking, well, that's good. Because we're almost out of time, everybody that plays an instrument is going to be teaching at some point as well. So I'm going to do the little music education ramp. How many of you are music education majors? How about you guys? All performance? Okay. Well, you're the guys I worry about because you're not being taught about teaching. Education, we hear about all this, but performers tend not to. First thing I would do is just a few housekeeping things. Stand up for a second. Everybody stand up. With your horn. Sit down. Okay, and stand up. Sit down. And you get very relaxed. We never use the backs of our chairs, or we tend not to use the backs of our chairs, because it restricts your back. You know, when you breathe, you expand in every direction. That's in case of a mudslide, and you get trapped, and you're in some kind of an awkward position, you can still breathe. We have been provided with 360-degree breathing apparatus, but if you sit on the back of the chair, you're holding back one of them, so you move out just a little bit. Sit on the edges of these chairs. You know, it's nice to use piano benches if you can get a hold of them. Play on piano benches, it's the best. Okay, that's the first thing. And the other thing is, and this is general, there seems to be two streams of thoughts, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because I have been wrong. There was once, it was 19, at any rate. You're taught to play for orchestra very straight. If you move around, in fact, Jeff, is that you can lose an audition, right, by moving too much when you're playing excerpts?
I think that's only flute.
Only flute. Okay, and then now the Berlin Philharmonic, everybody is watching Berlin Philharmonic because it's on television. So everybody, non-musicians, people are watching that. And they look like they're trained in Hollywood. Nobody sits still. It's amazing. So it's starting to change the attitude about playing. And I noticed you guys were you're kind of watching your music, and there was a connection that I missed when you play. You always should let people know exactly what you're doing. It never should be a secret. You shouldn't, but just a little bit of motion. Just don't be afraid to telegraph what you're going to do, because that makes ensemble playing so much better. And since you guys are such an advanced group, this is really important now that you get that last final connection where you really are aware exactly where things are going to be placed and what somebody's going to do. Doesn't mean you'll always hit it, but that awareness is what will really take you to the next level, the final level, where you really feel like you're part of the music, you're part of the group, and it transcends the individual part at that point. And that's the really fun part. And I would bet you don't feel that yet. You don't feel lost in the music. You're lost in the sound of that group. And that's when it's really, really, really fun. Do you have any questions for these guys? They're sitting here waiting to answer questions. Anybody think of something about the music you heard or the way it's played, or something that Caleb said, or Achilles, or Jeff almost said? Brandon wanted to say. You have a question for...
Can I add something to what you're saying? I just wanted to piggyback off of what Chuck was saying about the movement. I think that's really important. And I think it's also important to realize the difference between... I think we've all seen groups where there's like an assertive kind of cuer in the group. And I think that's different from what Chuck's talking about, because it's like you basically just want the music to kind of manifest itself in movement, in whatever way that's genuine, not like, some violinist that I won't name. But there's a difference between like saying, all right, I'm the drill sergeant, here's where the beat is, and also, and then just like basically embodying the energy in the dance a little bit in your movement. And there will be times where someone has to cue something, right? But I would just think about that. Think about the difference between, here's where the beat is, and just kind of like picking up on each other's physical energy, if that makes sense.
One last question.
Is the next group a horn quartet? Is that right? So we're excused except Jeff? Okay, great.
Thanks, everybody.
Sounds great. Thank you.
We have a couple minutes to set up the next group.
While the next group is setting up, we're wondering if any of you had any questions for us, or anything that you just heard that spawned any ideas, things that we can talk about. There's so many things we can talk about. Is this thing on? Any questions at all? Because then we'll just start asking questions. Oh, great. Yeah, the question was, what have we altered, if anything, as far as our rehearsals during COVID times? I would say the biggest alteration is that we haven't rehearsed. So that solves a lot of problems with, the intricacies of rehearsing during COVID. We, over the course of 1 year, we had one concert in October, and then things started to pick back up again just very recently. We were in Florida about a week or two ago. Now we're here. So we haven't really done much in person. And now we're slowly in the group becoming vaccinated. So that, of course, helps. We haven't done the cover thing. We haven't done the bell cover thing that we see many players do. It's something that's difficult, or I don't know, for our shows we kind of like to keep it as though we don't want to remind people that when they come to a show that obviously there's COVID as part of this issue as well. But also it hasn't become too much of an issue amongst our group. We're pretty safe around each other and mostly respectful, except Achilles. Yeah, it's a thing. You know, we've got this little handicap as wind players. You know, string players and pianists, they can wear masks and get by just fine. But yeah. Any other questions? None at all? None at all? All right. Well, Jeff, do you want to talk about the French horn and this next piece? Get them primed up for this?
Oh, coming up to it. We now have the horn octet, means 8 horns. And, thank you. And it's a piece by Hughes, Patrick Hughes. And our conductor friend told us about the trombone. For safety purposes. Oh, does it? We use the trombone. Alain Trudel, trombonist, helped us know what 6 feet was for safety distance.
Let's see. 9. Good. Oh, I don't know about this one.
But we're not supposed to aim that thing at anybody. Safety first. That would be really safe if it didn't include the fact that Chuck was breathing. Right in the All right, yay. Maestro.
Is this on? Do I have to do something? No? Okay. Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, sweet. My name's Lynette Compton, and behind me is my cheering section. No, I'm just kidding. Is our OSU Horn Octet. It's an audition group, and they rehearse twice a week, and they are really good kids, and I'm really proud of them for being here. We have one sub. I won't tell you who it is, but we have one member who actually has her junior recital today, so we gave her the day off. Fine. It was a very hard decision, but I'm glad we were able to just plug somebody in. So without further ado, this is Dancing on the Hill by UT horn professor Patrick Hughes, and here we go.
So she's going to conduct. Yeah, it's great. Thanks a lot. Okay. Woo. Awesome. Have you guys won any competitions or anything recently? In the last 24 hours? And then when's the next one?
In a couple weeks.
Okay. They just won the, what is it, Horn Ensemble competition? For the North, South, East, Western Horn Conference online. And then, of course, we can see why. You guys are used to this, right? You guys hear your horns doing this all the time? Really great. Yeah, awesome. So, yeah, what Caleb was talking about being in a big hall. Solo, awesome, works great. 2 horns, uh-oh, got to figure out a way to play together. 8 horns, it gets really, really muddy. And you guys transcended that really well. However, I think what you could do better is concept of sound when you're crescendoing or when you're, like the contrasts. And I think your softs can be softer. Sometimes when it's light, it's really good, but Patrick Hughes, as we know, kind of an idiot, can't write for horn. So he writes really well for horn. So when it's light, that contrast works, but when it's full and more so, I think you can be softer. And when you get louder, it flips to the burn a little bit suddenly. I was talking to Hunter about that too in the quintet. And it's this room. It's such a great feeling to go for it and make that big sound, but it almost makes it almost makes it loud or soft. And there's that growth that has to peak right at the moment of the growth. So to plan that out. Do you have a spot where you could try that? Is it muddy out there? Should I speak a little softer? I mean, slower. My mother always tells me slower. Okay. So we are going to. You gonna do the beginning? Do you really have to do one at a time page turns for the whole? I'm just making sure they're not waiting for me this time, because yeah.
I don't know if that's so you want something big where they can.
No, any dynamic contrast.
How about the sports on the piano? What?
The sports on the piano.
Where's that?
Bar 8 and 9.
Oh no. Like what would you just say? K. 175. 175. Yeah. There we go.
We're working with a company where you can control the whole group's parts by the master iPad at the front. It's really cool. You could just go, boom, everybody's on the same page. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's the idea. That really, really good, nice clean fronts, and that growth. Now I want to hear a little bit more growth through your lines. For me, it's always go to beat one, go to beat one. The composer can pick where the bar lines are, so the good composers, or the ones that make sense, put those peaks on beat one. So I go to beat one, and if it's not the ultimate climax of the phrase, I leapfrog to the next beat one and keep phrasing. And I think we get to bum, ba, 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 da, ba. Oh, is it staccato? I know you gave me the score. Ooh, okay, yeah, you got lots of room to go da, 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 and then you can make the staccato notes light, phrase over it, and then the slurred notes da, 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 all the way through. Not to give you too many ideas at once. That's your ways to make the phrases longer and way more idiot-proof. Us as listeners who aren't watching it, we've got to understand where to dance, where the beats are. So do you guys get lost there, or what happens when they... Yeah, I won't do whatever. Awesome. Yeah, that's better. I think you guys are still hitting your first notes maybe cleanly, but too much. So it's bum, ba, 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 da, ba, and I don't think it's what he wrote. I know it's what we have to do to get heard on our individual entrances, but da, 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 da. I'm always phrasing to the second beat one. No one knows whether we're in duple or triple time until we get to the second beat one of anything, right? So that first one, dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 we got to show them that duple factor on the second beat one. So I phrase everything to the second beat one. If it's the whole bar, I phrase the whole bar to the second beat one. Yeah.
Just before you start. Just as a casual observer over here, because I know nothing about horn. It sounded, there was a moment of greatness in the first couple bars. Not just good. I mean, you're all playing, it sounds great, and it's all put together here. But suddenly, it sounded great. What was the difference? It was aiming, as you say, and also, you were bouncing on it rather than da 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 da. Bum, 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 bum. You wouldn't sing it. Have them sing that. I leave them on, it doesn't matter. Bum, 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 bum.
Me mask when I say.
Okay, a lot of bounce. Bounce, 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 bounce. Go. A little more bounce. Yes. There you go. Yeah. Do you hear some silence now, right? Otherwise, we're just playing through and it just mishes together. Bum, 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 bum. And you got to be really aware. Make sure you're not the loudest person in your own ears. If it is, it's a problem. And in any music, any group, you always listen sideways, as well as what's going on internally. You already know what you're going to play. You got to be listening sideways. Now see if you get that greatness if you play that way. Bum, bum, start there again. Otherwise you don't. If it's long, you're not sure. Then you're just counting. Then it's just bop. That's my note. Bop. Very nice. Okay.
Chuck had just spent some time with Gene Pokorny, tuba player in Chicago Symphony, some band in Chicago, and he just, when he talks, everything is just kind of, and I said that to Chuck. I said he just lifts everything, and it's the same in his playing. Yeah, so if you could put everything down, if you could lift your foot off of my horn, that would be great. Sure. Okay, so we have, what I wanted to add, Jay, is that right? Jay, please. What Chuck's talking about with the lift, it's, for horn players, we're paid to play long notes. So we want to connect as much as possible on that lush sound. So to be able to have the lift with the line is our battle or our opportunity. So seize those opportunities all the time. Okay, let's go at Jay. What we're looking for is to have the beautiful line soothing us while the running line adds to it in contrasts of ideas, characters. I think if you could phrase a little bit longer with, no. Okay. Okay, good. I mean, one thing is to know each other's parts a little bit more. I think probably the eighth notes can be a bit louder with the lift, da, da, di, da, di, da, and then show the barring of the notes, da, da, di, da, 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 di, da, di, da, di, da, so that everyone else can hear that. And then the lush line on top of it, I think you can be a little bit ahead or behind as long as it's together and commanding. You listen to Frank Sinatra, like nothing is on the beat. It's just all over, and it's awesome. But don't tell the quintet, but that's what I do. I just try and, I know what they're doing, and then I play the line. Yes, I see a bunch of confused faces. Okay, so louder on the eighth notes, and then a little more compelling with the solo lines, showing all those beat ones. Are you guys all forte? Oh, the line is piano. Patrick Hughes. We'll talk to him later about that. Okay. Oh, and mezzo piano. Crisper fronts. It's a little bit crisper fronts, I think, with super phrasing, and then that line. Give the audience beat ones on that as well, with obvious crescendi. Really good. So a little bit softer with the same crisp fronts on the eighth notes, I think. And then we're horn players. I don't know if we've ever been told this, but that was a little late on the melody. We bask in that melody. So lead with the melody. Forget Sinatra. Be in front of the note a little bit more. Yeah, woo, I think that's way better. Yeah, really good job. That's a super tricky part. I think the moving lines should be in the front. Are they in the front line? Oh, they are. So that's good writing too, or is it at the beginning too? Okay, so those is in front of you. Sorry, I had the visuals mixed up. You guys hear horn players talk to you a lot, though. We have an arsenal of other great musical minds. Do you guys want to, Brandon? He kind of leans forward and then back and then.
I was just waiting for when the time felt right. And also when the time starts running out. I think that we have to end around 1:30. So I think it'd be a good opportunity now to sort of shift the discussion towards, a discussion about what next. You've played this rather difficult piece, and the brass quintet earlier played another difficult piece, the Oasis Colchester Fantasy. And it's true, Caleb and I both sort of studied. We were in his music theory class at Juilliard. And at least for me, I don't know about Caleb, but the greatest thing that I took from that was Oasis' impression of a grilled cheese sandwich. Nobody found that unusual? Oh, you can't hear me. Is it because of the mask? Is it because? Oh. Ewazin's impression of a grilled cheese sandwich, perhaps the most memorable experience of mine in his theory class. And I'd like to... Thank you. Anyway, there's something very interesting about that. You know, they've gone through the trouble of writing all these notes and creating these wonderful compositions. And we have to practice these notes and learn how to play them together and spend hours and hours and hours rehearsing, getting to know each other, getting to know the music. But for some reason, all I can remember is Ewazin's impression of a grilled cheese sandwich. So, what's next? You are all musicians, extremely capable musicians, and you're in college right now, but what's next after college? I thought it'd be an interesting experiment if you could just think of 4 or 5 words, max, that you think sort of might define yourself and the things that you're passionate about, the things that you want to do, maybe the things that you think you are now. Just everybody could do this as an experiment. Think of 4 or 5 words. It doesn't have to be a sentence, just words that sort of define yourself and maybe things that you want to be. I'm going to have to put somebody on the spot. Were you playing first? Were you playing first just now? First? You were playing first? Can you share with us 4 or 5 words that define yourself and maybe some things that you want to be in the future? Ready, go.
Well, I mean, the easy one that I like to. Okay.
So you're out. Next. Okay.
Well, the first one that comes to my mind is just talented, because I mean, I don't think that I could really be where I am if I wasn't. And then others.
Talent.
Yes, talent. I would say passionate. I really care about what I do, and I'm struggling to think of other ones right now.
Passion, care, talent, music.
Sure, that works.
Any other words?
No.
And no. The last word is no. Very good, thank you. All right, next. You had a little more time, so you have a slight advantage. 4 or 5 words that define you. Oh, I'm sorry. And what was your name?
Annie.
Annie. We have Annie's 4 to 5 words, and now we have
Lucas.
Lucas's 4 to 5 words that define Lucas and maybe future Lucas. Here we go.
I'd say dedicated. I would also say passionate. Competitive.
And he takes his time.
That's good. That's all right. Do you have any more? I'd say patient.
Patient, that was obvious. Patient, yeah, right. Very good. Well, these are all descriptor words. It's interesting to hear you talk about those as more like human qualities. Now, I'm wondering, let's do one more, and let's go a little more specific with our direction forward and who we are with words like, musician, or I mean, that's an obvious one. Horn player. Neither of you said horn player. That you don't consider yourselves horn players? I mean, I guess that was obvious, so it goes without saying. Let's do one more, and let's try to get just a little more specific.
I'm Reagan.
Reagan. Hello, Reagan.
Okay, I would say student. I like that one. A horn player and musician. Music lover. Just to put that. Horn player, musician, student, music lover. And I want to put brave in there too, because I thought of that word a long time ago.
Brave, musician, student, horn lover. That's good. That's good. What's interesting about this to me is that perhaps we haven't thought about these words, who we are and how we picture ourselves in the future world, what we're hoping to accomplish. So, and there's nothing wrong with taking time to think about these things, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I definitely believe it's important that you're all thinking about this now. In college, you've chosen to have a degree in music, to play the horn, to play in a brass quintet. Obviously, there's a great love for playing brass, so how can we make that very clear what it is we're here to share with each other, why we're doing this, and the more you can put these things into words, I think the better you're off in the future, the more success you might find, and the more likely you are to end up doing that thing that you really identify with and you really connect with. So I encourage everyone to do that and to figure out what it is. What is the why? Why are we doing this? Why are we spending all these hours playing in a brass quintet, learning these hard pieces? Once you get out of college, it's going to be very different, and the more things you have in your arsenal of, for instance, not just being a horn player, but maybe being a music producer, maybe being a great educator, other things. The more things you have in your arsenal, the more successful you'll be in the future. So that's something that set up Canadian Brass for success. We're not all just brass players. And over the last year during COVID, some of us have learned to do other things like music production, how to record, how to film. Caleb is an excellent film expert now and has made music videos for us. So these are all things that we want to be thinking about into the future. So we want to see all of you be successful. So I encourage you to keep thinking about what are these things, what are these words, who am I, and how do I fit into this picture, the grand scheme of things in the world post-Oklahoma State University. So, does anybody have any questions out here before we part ways? Yes. Sorry? What are my words? Shoot. Let me think about this. Well, I'm going to go with, I'm out. Musician, environmentalist, educator. And a really nice guy, hopefully, according to one person. Yeah, so there are things, there may have been words that I use or that you use that maybe you aren't yet, things that are on your mind, that you want to be in the future, and you add that to a part of you. So anyway, it's a game worth playing, and a game worth playing every few years. Check in and see what those words are with you, and they'll help guide you to that path. Good question. Any other questions that don't put me on the spot? Jeff.
Thanks, Brendan. We're out of time, sadly, but we thank you so much for your performance and your win yesterday and your future win 2 weeks from now. Thank you. And Lynette Compton, I don't know if you've ever heard of her before. She's the...
Thank you to the Canadian brass, obviously.
And we'll see you soon. And thank you to the other quintet as well. Beautiful playing from them wherever they are. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, way to go, everyone. Thank you. We'll see you soon.